Hello, hello, and welcome to UFO Live, UFOs Seriously Live. I seriously screwed up that title. So, a few seconds ago, you guys got to see a little preview as I was setting up the end screen little graphic there that I forgot to do last minute. But, anyways, hello. Let me tell you right off the bat what we're going to be doing here because some people were like, man, you didn't even get anything decent until way into the video. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. Let me remind myself, we're going to be talking about these cool posters from ET Posters. We're going to be talking a little bit about Skinwalker, but we'll be talking about these strange lights in San Diego. We're going to be talking about Jupiter. We're going to be talking about Mars. I got so much about Mars. You're going to be well, hopefully you won't be tired about talking about Mars because Mars is exciting. But we're going to be talking about Florida, alien abduction, all kinds of crazy news coming up here in just a second. So we'll be talking about that. But let me get rid of some business here. First, I want to thank I Beg Your Garden up here who donated $1.99. Thanks, dude. The way this is supposed to work, I'm using this thing called Stream Elements. And the way it's supposed to work, this is like, you guys are probably, some of you are familiar with Twitch, which is where people do this gaming and everything. So the way it's supposed to work is that when someone donates in the super chats, which you can do maybe in the window that's there or here, but in the chat area, you can donate money and then you should pop up there. And then I also have a tips link that's in the bottom there. And if you tip it, you should pop up there. And for subscribers, they'll pop up here. You can see our latest. Aaron Bursmith, thank you for subscribing to the site. And then finally, when people subscribe while we're on air, something really exciting happens right here. It is so fun. Wait till it happens. You're going to love it. But otherwise, you can see here, I'm in space. I've done a couple upgrades. Hopefully, everything's working well. Seems like it is. I was just down working on the flux capacitor here. I don't know what's wrong with it. Ow. 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 Keeps getting me. So I don't know. I'll figure that thing out. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on here. But of course, as always, I'm working on UFO news, UFO stories, UFO and space videos, all of this stuff. So let's go take a look at what I have been up to. Let's start with Patreon. So, that reminds me, before we go over there, I want to thank my new Patreons, and I'm going to thank all of you. So, so some of you will get 2 shout-outs. There's probably no problem with that. But thank you guys so much for giving me some bucks. I put out a ton of free content for you all. So it really helps when you throw me a few dollars because then I can keep going because I'm trying to get more and more material out. And of course, if I can't work on this sort of stuff, I got to work on other stuff to make money. And so the more money I make on this, the more I can focus on this stuff. So Andrew Ross, David White, James, Joseph Hallett, Kevin Traberis. I think I got your name right. I hope I did. Ron Westbrook, Ryan, and Stuart Coyne. And yes, that's Ryan Sprague. We'll talk about him in a minute as well. Thank you all so much for patronizing my Patreon. If you want to do the same, then you could see a link down there where you're going to be able to look at my Patreon. But let's take a look at my Patreon. So what are you going to get if you patronize my Patreon? Here it is. You're going to get to watch this video. Actually, anybody can watch that video. But what you will get, you'll see down here, secret video. Uh-oh. Oh, man, I can't watch that. Yeah, you can. All you have to do is be a patron, and it is not very expensive. So these are, I was in Roswell. Some of you may know that I do Roswell practically every year. Actually, I for a little while there, I was running the city's UFO talks while the museum ran theirs because they were running separate events because they weren't getting along so well back then. But luckily, they do get along now, so it's all one big event. And we're all in one place at the museum, and we're happy and everything. But you know what? We're not going to be as happy next year because Stanton Friedman's not going to be there. he's retiring. As you all know, some of you who listen to my podcast, we did an interview out in Roswell. It's also here on our Open Minds YouTube. You can watch that. His last interview in Roswell, not many people were interviewing him, so I got a good one in there. He's my bud. But he also did a panel. The very last event at the Roswell event was a panel, and he got to have some last words and say thank you and stuff like that. And I shouldn't go on this because we've already talked about it. But let's see what else is on here for the week. Some exciting stuff that you're going to guys will be able to check out, and this is all for free. So, for example, David Hatcher Childress. Some of you may remember that my girlfriend Karen put on a conference for Travis Walton just a couple years ago, 2015, which was the 40th anniversary of his UFO experience. And we held it out near where it all happened, which was wild. We went out to visit the area. It was a ton of fun. And so what we've done is for the UFO Congress, we're trying to beef up the UFO Congress YouTube page. I would go there, but, you know, I got my streaming stuff going on over here. So, so it's a brand new one. It's separate from Open Mind, so we need subscribers. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Once we get there, we're going to give away a T-shirt and a hat to a few people. So go there and subscribe, and hopefully you'll win a T-shirt and a hat. We'll let you know. But lots of videos like this, so you can be notified that you're going to get access to this free video of David Hatcher Childress if you're into Ancient Aliens. What else we got on here? Ooh, Devil's Tower UFO Rendezvous. I got to remind people, 13th, 14th, and 15th, 2018. There's the link, Devil's Tower UFO Rendezvous. Some people, it's not too tough. There's the spelling right there. I was making fun of how it's such a weird word, I think, on my podcast or something, how the spelling is. But it's someone said it's not weird, it's French. That's a good point. I love the French people. French is awesome. The French people are cool. And actually, people in this household went to France not too long ago, and one of them knows French fairly well. It's a beautiful language. So come join myself, Karen, David Marler, who's going to be my next guest on the Open Minds UFO Radio, and Lee Spiegel. A lot of cool people are going to speak in there. Mark D'Antonio. Also, I've been talking a lot about the Space Force, right? Well, I have this new it's not really a new page, but I got this new kind of online effort that I'm doing. I've got a page called the Alejandro Advantage. And the advantage is that I'm going to share with you my knowledge about what's up. You know what? I'm going to hide this real quick, too. I don't want you guys to see my bookmarks. That's distracting. And on this YouTube page, I'm going to be posting all kinds of stuff. I'm going to be posting product reviews, traveling stuff, all kinds of stuff, just general information about different places I go and everything, taking video and get some really cool stuff to you. This is my first video there. What's the deal with the Space Force? We've talked about this. There's actually legitimate reasons they want to create this group, but arguably we already have these concerns met. But you can watch this 10-minute video to get more information, although you've already, if you've watched this video, you've seen some of this. This is cool right here. Orbit's contacted me, and they said, hey, could you write a story about this? We've got these posters advertising extraterrestrial tourism. And in fact, this is a story I wrote on Den of Geek, but there are other stories out there. But I want to show you these posters because they're really cool. So here's the front page when you get there. Extraterrestrial Tourism. We are not alone. Reports of UFO sightings and encounters of the first, second, and third kind date back to ancient Egypt and continue throughout the course of history. The truth is out there. Here's the first poster. Let me show you something too. I'm going to give you some insight on something real quick. See, that's why I wear the headphones, because when I wear the headphones, I can hear what I'm saying through the microphone better, and it encourages me to make the goofy voices like the UFO voice that I just used. So that's why I wear the headphones. It's a good thing for the entertainment value of the show. Otherwise, if I didn't have them on, I would just keep straight talking, and that's kind of boring. But yeah, look, going all the way back to ancient Egypt, 1440. You can read all about this event here. Moving forward. I was over here clicking the forward button on the video player. Italy, 91 BC. What? Germany, 776. Judgment Day. Germany, 1561. What's up with the Germans being attacked by UFOs? That's no moon. A visit from an unearthly enemy in England in 1801. Japan, 1803. She came from outer space. Look at this beautiful woman from outer space. They're here. Roswell. We all know about Roswell, so there's a poster. And then this is a Flatwoods Monster, going to be part of Project Blue Book, the TV show from 1952. Attack of the Tentacled Tormentors. I'm not aware of this one. South Africa, 1996. And then Norway and Sweden, the spiraling lights. And I know some of you are going to disagree with me, but that was a missile. When missiles go bad, they spin, the gas spews out of it, and it creates these big, the way the sun hits, it creates these big circles. I was doubtful, but then I talked to Mark D'Antonio, probably on a podcast, and he convinced me that. And he showed me examples that, okay, that's what it is. We have a story on it. So, still cool looking, though. So, you can click those links and actually download those posters. So, they're very cool. So, it's neat that Orbitz did that. So they love that we did an article. Oh, another free video from the UFO Congress. This one is the movie producer and screenwriter of Fire in the Sky, Tracy Torme. And I want to come back to the overlay because I want to ask you guys, see what you're saying. Okay, here's what I want to ask you guys. Have you seen Fire in the Sky? And do you remember the middle of the movie where, it was aboard the craft and it was, what they portrayed in there was not necessarily what Travis Walton talked about. In the chat, do you guys remember that? And the reason that I'm asking you is Tracy Torme, who is Mel Torme's son, is the guy who wrote and produced that movie. And so a lot of people get frustrated about this. Ha! No one? No one's answering. I don't know. You guys. We'll come back to that. Anyway. Oops, that's me. Wait, look. Someone said something. Yes, it's on Netflix. Watched it the other night. Yes. Okay, so some people did. Well, a lot of people are like, why the heck? Well, some people don't even know that what is in the movie aboard the craft is not what happened in what Travis says happened. So what Travis Walton remembers is that he was aboard this craft, and I'll try to do this quickly, but we have a video on Open Minds where you can watch him talking about this. It's a free lecture that he did at the UFO Congress in 2011, I believe, and he talked all about this. So watch that. But essentially, he woke up, there's these little creatures, he freaks out, and there's this thing on his chest, and so he picks it up and he's swinging at these little guys, and they freak out. They're like, hey, calm down, and where they're putting their hands out like this. Hey, big guy, chill out. And he's flipping out. So the little creatures run out, and he looks where they went, and they went one way down this little hallway that's curved, so he went the other way. He found this room where there's a chair in the middle, and there's like this star field above him. He goes and he touches the chair, and the star field moved, almost like this chair was controlling whatever he was on, assumingly a craft of some sort. And so he then looks at the door, and there's a human-looking guy there with like this hood on. So he thought, oh my gosh, finally someone's here to save me. So he runs after the guy. The guy gestures to follow him. He walks out, and they walk into this hangar, what appears to be this huge hangar. And there's a bunch of the ships similar to what he had saw in the forest, that must have, he feels, picked him up. He walks into a room, and there's a woman in there, and you've probably seen the pictures. They're very tight outfits. And the woman comes and puts a mask on his face. He starts to freak out and think, this is weird. These guys are really weird. But by the time that he, tried to struggle, he's out. Then he wakes up on the side of the road with clothes on, not like the movie, naked, with clothes on, and the ship, he sees it taking off. At that point, he gets a hold of his brother. His brother didn't believe him, so he had to convince him. Finally, his brother believes him, comes, picks him up, takes him to Phoenix, which is the biggest town, of course, in Arizona where all this happened, because the media was going crazy. It was this huge media thing, so he wanted to avoid the media. So that's what really happened. So why, Mr. Torme, why did you change the movie? Well, he explains it here. Essentially, it wasn't really all his fault. As you can imagine, other producers wanted, they thought that was boring. I think the real story is much better than what they had come up with. But you can hear him answering questions about the making of the movie and meeting Travis, and really, really cool stuff. It's a great video, very rare. He had health issues here. It was difficult to get him there. And because of his health issues, he doesn't do talks very much anymore. You might have seen this, of course. You could get Open Minds TV shirts. Oh, this is cool. So you can come here and watch these videos. These are some of my interviews at Comic-Con of some of the stars of the second season of Nat Geo's Mars television show. This is Jihei, and she is actually going to be the lead in Peter Jackson's new movie. So they're just starting to roll that out there. I've got to spend some time with her. I've got to have dinner with her and drinks. She is such a cool lady, and she is going to be a major star here when this new Peter Jackson gets rolling, because she's like the main character. So you could probably, I think there's a teaser out there right now, and they're going to be starting their media blitz really soon here. This is Jeff Hafner, one of the other actors. Really cool guy, too. I love these guys. So, and then this is my interview with Dee Johnson, who is the showrunner of the second season for the show. She is also the showrunner of ER, but she's amazing. She's one of these intimidating ladies. She's like boss lady. But I was, to be honest, when I went to Comic-Con, I was hoping she was there. I got a preview of the second season. It doesn't start until November, but it's really good, and I had so many questions for her. So I was so excited to see her, and I got to ask her a lot of great questions. And then this is UFO Seriously Live from last week. There's something that's not posted here. I'm going to go to the overlay just so I can check in on the chat. There were two that looked human, a man and a woman. That's correct. Blonde humans. Yep. They're talking about that. Ooh, yes, they did a panel. Somebody there said at the Travis Walton thing, there was a panel there. One of the people on the panel was the first police officer on the scene. The other was Travis's brother. Also, one of the other witnesses, a couple of the other witnesses that you rarely ever see were also there on panels. You can see that on the streaming site, but I'll just leave it there. But we may have surprises for you in the future. All right. Hey there, Jorge Rodriguez. That is a cool name. That's fun to say. Jorge Rodriguez. And then the other guy in here, G-O-G. I'm sorry. I do not know how to say that. Maybe you can put out the pronunciation on the chat there. And then Bug. And Bug looks like MJ Benet, who's awesome. One of my favorite interviews. I've got an interview with him. I don't know if that is MJ. But I love MJ. If you are the guy, that's you. Hey, MJ, glad you're here. We'll check back on the chat and see you later. But next, let's get into some more UFO news and something that I forgot. What did I forget? I forgot to tell you about my last radio show, which was Ryan Sprague. And we talk about the state of ufology. So we talk a little bit about my Chris Cogswell interview, because Chris definitely had some strong feelings about To the Stars and their Atom project that they're starting, where they're trying to collect UFO materials to examine them and analyze them to discover if they're, something anomalous or not. But yeah, Ryan Sprague's awesome. We had him at the conference a couple years ago. He did excellent. I've known him for a long time. In fact, he volunteered at the UFO Congress from 2011 all the way up to 2016. Then he spoke in 2017. He couldn't make it in 2018, and I'm sure he'll be there in 2019. That's going to be a lot of fun. So Ryan Sprague's awesome. And in fact, speaking about the conference, we were at the conference location earlier today, and they're having an anime. Well, they're getting set up, but starting tomorrow, and I'll get some pictures. I want to take some pictures and post a little video online of some of the cosplay, because people cosplay is when they dress up like anime characters. But I'm wearing my Dragon Ball t-shirt. That's what this orange shirt is, just in case you were wondering. And you know what? I love my t-shirt. Somebody complained. Actually, to be completely honest, somebody complained and said I need to lose weight and I need to dress better. I love my t-shirts. I'm going to keep wearing t-shirts. And I go to the gym. That's not that impressive, is it? I go to the gym like every other day, and I work out pretty much every day. So I'm trying, dude. It's my girlfriend. I'm going to blame Karen because she makes me eat ice cream and bad stuff. And I'm risking getting myself hurt here. But, yeah, Ryan Sprague, he's awesome. He's the latest interview on Open Minds Radio. So check it out. Our podcast, I want to thank you guys so much, because this podcast, of course, it's been going on for a long time. But it's so popular. We get Ryan Sprague has already got at least 20,000 listens. And you know what? I'm going to tell you guys, there are a lot of people out there who say, oh, yeah, we get 1 million listeners. I've got 1 million listeners. No, they have the potential to maybe reach 1 million people. I could say I've got potential to reach 500 million people. But I look at real numbers, the clicks, because my tool here, Blog Talk, tracks all of that for me. And so, hey, I'm happy with it. A lot of people. So that's cool. Thanks so much, Ryan. It was an awesome, awesome show. I really love this guy. All right. But I love everybody. I'm a lover, not a fighter. You guys know that. So, yeah, you can also get to at openminds.tv that video I did on the Alejandro Advantage on the Space Force. But let's talk about UFOs in the news. Den of Geek wrote a story about the hunt for the Skinwalker. Because there's a trailer out there, and they've been doing some outreach. And what's the big deal with that? Well, I write for Den of Geek. I didn't even know they were going to post this story, but I'll tell you what. We've got more stories coming out on Den of Geek from the Skinwalker, because I'm buddies with Jeremy Corbell, and Jeremy Corbell's awesome. I'm a huge fan. His films are amazing, and this film is going to be... Oh, jeez, I'm so excited about it. But, yeah, this is going to be really good. And we've got a whole article in the next magazine. So, we made a magazine for Comic-Con, Den of Geek did, and then New York Comic-Con is coming up. So there's going to be a new magazine coming out here in about a month. And that is going to feature a long article about the whole background of how To the Stars and the Government ties into the Hunt for the Skinwalker movie. So hopefully that will help promote this movie, because I am hopeful. I think many of you will agree that Hunt for the Skinwalkers is one of the... I'm going to see if people are saying in the chat, but I think some of you will agree that Hunt for the Skinwalkers, one of the most extraordinary paranormal investigations ever. And like they talk about, there's a lot more paranormal they looked into. In fact, from one of Bigelow's groups, and these aren't just Bigelow Aerospace, they wrote this letter about how they interfaced with what are those bad ghosts, or the ghosts that move? So poltergeists. They interfaced. Oh, it was a good movie too. They interfaced with poltergeists and dimensional portals, all of this weird stuff. And in this report that I'm talking about, which is not very well known, it was something that KLAS posted. George Knapp works for KLAS. George Knapp, who's also one of my huge mentors. I love this guy. they wrote this report, and not many people have seen it, but we'll be talking about it, and we will have more about that in our Den of Geek article. Oh, you know what? Before I go away, I want to see Bigelow is awesome. Whoa! I'd love to know what he does. Bigelow runs an aerospace company. Bigelow is preparing. In fact, Bigelow Aerospace is in the running to be the company to create this brand new satellite, or space station around the moon. So you've got to look into it. You've probably seen a few stories about this gateway space station they want to build around the moon. I've had some articles on that lately. But Bigelow is in the running. There's 12 companies trying to do it. Each of these companies and their ideas are getting, as they release them, are getting a lot of press. So it'll be really interesting when Bigelow comes up with that. So, yeah, the movie's going to be really cool. I think that's the name. Beep. I'm wrong. Whatever. I'm sorry. Skinwalker Ranch, the movie, was decent. Oh, yeah. There was kind of a movie that was out there that was... let's move on. Okay, here we go. So, exciting stuff there. But, yeah, there's a story here written by one of my Den of Geek colleagues. So check this out. And then you're going to see more about Skinwalker coming up here. What else? Strange lights above San Diego spark speculation of UFO. Whoa, look at that. That's weird. But you know what? I'm sorry, and I know I've already upset some people, but who have said, I know what I've upset some people because I looked at these and I felt I knew what they were, military flares. And the reason I say that is because out here in Arizona, we have the Goldwater Range, and I see these flares all the time. In fact, I have filmed them before just so people can see, and a lot of people and they do look extraordinary. I mean, they really do. The military flares, I was skeptical when I had seen videos. What? How can flares do that? But then I moved out here and I literally would see them all the time. But yeah, Navy spokesperson said the mysterious lights were simply part of a flare training exercise. Wah, wah. So it was discovered, but hey, that's ufology for you. You know, we figure out what 90% of the things are that are out there, 95%. The handful of mysterious ones, that's where the good stuff is. Let's move on from San Diego and look for some of the good stuff. This is an interesting story. So this is a guy in Argentina. And essentially what had happened is people were looking on Google Satellite and they were seeing this weird thing. And they were like, what the heck is that? They investigated it and, people, oh, that must be a UFO landing spot. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That is a UFO landing spot. So this guy who from Argentina said the aliens told him to build a landing pad for them, and so he did, and that's it. It's gorgeous. It's really cool looking, and you can see it in Google Earth, and that's what it looks like. Really cool. So who knows? Maybe the aliens are going to land there. It's going to be the first place they land. I don't know, but it looks pretty neat. Another story out there. Oh, you know what? And before we go too far, I'm going to show you something. And Jason McClellan clued me into this. So one of the things that I do to look for UFOs is I look at UFOs and I use the news section to look what stories there are in the news. And well, look, there's a bunch of stories here. Well, they got it fixed. Well, no, they haven't. So it used to be that you would see a lot of them, and I don't know if there's. I think it's not that there hasn't been news, but they haven't been posting it in here. So see, it already goes from the first page to the foreign stuff. Usually you have a lot more in here. So I don't know if there's just been not a lot of news, or it seems like because, if you go to all here, for example, you see 1 day ago, 11 hours ago, 1 day ago, and here you go. Here's the evidence. And you have it jumps to 2 weeks. So 1 day to 2 weeks, and then everything else is 2 or 3 weeks old. So at least for a while there, they were not tagging UFO news stories, so you couldn't look through news stories this way. Luckily, I have a bunch of cool people that I work with in my Facebook Open Minds UFO News group. So it's a closed group. If you want to go join that group, please do. There's a link to it in the description here. But yeah, the Open Minds UFO News group, really what we do is we share links. And the idea behind it is to share links about headlines in the news, some of the credible stuff going on, so we can discuss it, but also so we can watch it. I mean, this is why I feel it's so important that we do like what we're doing right now and we look at the mainstream headlines, because by watching the mainstream headlines, we can see what the mainstream feels is interesting about this field, what their perspectives are about this field, what people in science and in the mainstream field is credible, and we can watch the progression, and we can watch as society kind of tackles this issue and deals with it in the ways that they do. And I think that that's really interesting, and I think keeping a pulse on that allows you to be more effective when you speak to the public, which is what I do, of course, when I'm writing stories and creating videos. And I think it's helped me be be able to, get more into the mainstream and talk to scientists and, people at Nat Geo and so forth, in order to, get this information out, in the way that they're used to, that this is a credible situation here. This is really a credible mystery. And of course, more and more people are coming on board feeling that way, and the mainstream's feeling that way, and we can see it in these stories. So I think that's why I love following this stuff, and it really helps us to penetrate the mainstream and the general population. And isn't that what we want to do? Isn't that what we want to do, is get the information out, the credible information out to as many people as possible? And by doing this, that's what we're doing, I feel. And that's where we're going to have the biggest effect. That's why I always say, when it comes to some of the more fringe stuff, I don't know if that's real or not. Maybe some of it is, maybe a lot, I don't know. But I'm focused on this over here because I think we're having a good effect. And somebody has to focus on it, I think. Anyway, here's a great story in an article called Pedestrian. It's an Australian newspaper, and it covers a brief history of some of Australia's weirdest encounters. One of them you all may be aware of was the West Hall UFO encounter in 1966, April 6th, when these kids from kids and adults, there were teachers, it says a combined 200 people saw this UFO flying above the park. It landed and then took off again. Really interesting, great case. There's some good documentaries based on that case. Here's another one. This is an old one as well, also from 1966. This is interesting. I know Jacques Vallée had written about this. The Tully saucer nest. In fact, he might have coined that term. But this was a guy who was working in his fields, and he looks like he was a banana farmer. And he claimed to have seen, while he was driving this tractor, this UFO fly out of this marsh area. He went over there and he took this picture and says that this disc had created this circular pattern in the marsh. So those are the big ones. Otherwise, you have kind of individual sightings from families and an abduction report here. That's pretty interesting. There's creatures that she feels that she saw. But yeah, great article. Westall 66 is what that UFO encounter is often referred to, so you can look into that. But, this one's going to frustrate some people. Pardon the interruption. Excuse me, we're busy right now. Shocking UFO experiences, weird dreams, or real encounters. Okay, so the gist of this story is, are UFO and especially abduction encounters really weird dreams? Because in the past, people have had weird dreams and ascribed them to different things. And they throw around like this. Almost 17% of the abductees begin their experiences while in a dreamy state, such as in the bedroom or while driving at night. Now, I am totally open to this idea that maybe a large percentage of alleged abductee experiences are dreams. But here's the problem with this story. Do you see any links or sources? No. So it says continue reading. Okay, well, maybe there's a scholarly article that they're referring to that we can see where they came up with these figures. But no, it's this other short article that makes all these assumptions but doesn't really tell us. They do say Carl Jung used to talk about how UFOs seem to be archetypes. He uses this term a lot, archetypes. And of angels and kind of otherworldly, kind of a divinity, which is something important in our psyche, that we have to have that kind of idea. And I can understand that, and he did say that that's true. But what's interesting is Carl Jung also said, however, that doesn't mean I'm saying all UFOs are this, are people seeing angels, or this is a modern angel. He's saying that this UFOs serve as that archetype. But he said UFOs are real. In fact, he's written some stories. Carl Jung was really into UFOs. And for some of you who may not know who Carl Jung was, he was a famous psychologist, and he was a student of Sigmund Freud's, but he went on and created his own ideas and really important stuff that still is used today. So I think, maybe, I don't know, they may have something there, but the problem is that they don't really prove it. They should have really put in sources in there. I mean, so they can let us know where the heck they got this information. Very frustrating that they didn't do that. This is Florida candidate. So we've been talking about this for a while because she keeps getting in the news. But this Florida candidate for Congress says alien abduction doesn't define me. So this is Benita Rodriguez Aguilera. Not too bad. I don't speak Spanish, but of course I am Hispanic, so I know I'm familiar with these names and how they're said. I wish I could say them correctly, but at least I know somewhat. A lot of people will go cross-eyed when they see these names. They go cross-eyed when they see my name. But Bettina Rodriguez Aguilera. That's not too bad, I think. Anyway, she's in the Miami area. She, as they have said, is a long shot in the race for running for this Republican race. She's trying to, the primaries are going to happen, and then she'll probably get cut out. In fact, the primaries happen Tuesday, so this story is probably a few days old. She probably already isn't in the running anymore. But her opponents or somebody had run across this Spanish language interview where she talked about when she was 7 years old that she was abducted. And she's saying here, it has nothing to do with what I have done. It happened when I was 7 years old. I am so proud that the Herald did what they did. Because what she's talking about is, despite all of this and all of this bad press about her saying that she was abducted by aliens, the Miami Herald actually backed her. They said that she was their candidate, which was pretty interesting. So that was shocking for people as well. But she says, I stick to my guns when I believe in something. And I think you have to admire that. I mean, really, who knows what happened to her back then? That's what she feels happened. Maybe her family feels that way as well. And she's sticking to her guns. This is what I think happened. As, the title of one of James Fox's film. And a lot of UFO witnesses say, I know what I saw. And she's sticking to her guns there. So I think you got to appreciate that. Otherwise, Jupiter. Boys go to Jupiter and they get more stupider. That's what girls, usually young girls, like to say, but I heard my girlfriend saying that not too long ago. I think just maybe a week or two ago. A little bit immature, honey. But funny. It was funny. That's why I say it now. Oh, yeah, she's on my spaceship, too. She just mentioned. So, all right. So, but I can't show her because, of course, unless she's done an hour's worth of makeup, then I can't take a picture or she can't go online. Well, she says she doesn't take an hour. Feels like it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Jupiter, what's the big deal with Jupiter? Well, they feel like it may have a lot of water. Jupiter, of course, is fascinating. The chemical makeup they talk about is similar to the sun. And it has these gigantic storms. So the eye here is like something like 100, Mark D'Antonio could probably tell us off the top of his head, but something like 100 Earths can fit. You know what? You guys are... can fit in this eye. I'm going to open it up a little bit so you can see it better. But fascinating. So it's got all this weather and these clouds. But guess what? There's something under there, and it could hold a lot of water. In fact, they say this storm is about 3 levels, and that the bottom level could be a very wet kind of watery storm. And of course, why do we care about water? Because water could hold life. And what if there is life on Jupiter? Whoa, that'd be crazy. Something like 2010 had something like that, right? So, pretty cool. So that's what they're looking at with Jupiter. You can see Jupiter is in the news. So there we go with the news. So what's coming up? David Marler. Well, let's just talk to you face to face here. Hi. So David Marler is going to be my next guest on Open Minds UFO Radio. He wrote the book about triangular UFOs. He's also working on other cases. And so we're going to be talking to him about that. But we'll also be talking to him about the upcoming Devil's Tower UFO event. So be sure to check that out. Otherwise, be sure to, if you can, when you have a chance, go check out and subscribe to a couple channels. If you haven't subscribed to the UFO Congress YouTube channel, please do. We're going to be posting more and more lectures from different events that we have, free videos for people. So we're going to be posting more free material that you're really going to want to see. Like I said, if you haven't watched this Tracy Torme video, you definitely want to do it. And of course, if you're a fan of the Ancient Aliens theory and television show, you'll want to go watch that David Hatcher Childress video. David's a really cool guy. He lives here in Arizona, so we get to see him sometimes. We love the guy, so check him out. So go subscribe to the UFO Congress channel if you haven't. Of course, subscribe down there to Open Minds if you haven't. And then also subscribe to the Alejandro Advantage if you haven't. Because I'm going to do a couple more space stories. But like all this tech, all this stuff that I've got here on the ship that's creating this live stream, I'll be interviewing products, talking about these products, and stuff like that. So we'll be having all kinds of cool, helpful videos for you there. So check that out, including the video on the anime convention, because hopefully I'll be able to get some cool pictures of people in their cosplay, because, they go all out with that kind of stuff, and it's very interesting. Otherwise, and so we've got what this is, what am I talking about here, and then, of course, go to openminds.tv to see all of the news that I'm talking about, and all of that you can see in the links below here. But what is all of this? All of this is a UFO and cool information tsunami. We're going to be bringing videos and stories just like we do on Open Minds, on Den of Geek, on our YouTube channel. It's going to continue just feeding you all information and cool stuff because that's what we like to do, is get this stuff out. So please subscribe and please follow us. It doesn't cost you a dime. And for some of you who are like, I don't want to go on Patreon and give you money for nothing, that's fine, dude. I'm cool with that too, because we've got some links down here to the UFO Congress, where we've got like glow-in-the-dark UFO hats. That's what we're going to be giving away, by the way, once we get to 1,000 subscribers. Really cool t-shirts. Also, there's Open Minds branded t-shirts. And you know what else you could do? Let's say you were like, hey, Hunt for the Skinwalker, that looks cool, I want that book. Well, I've got the link down there, so you can just go click that link. It's going to take you to Amazon, and I'm going to make a few cents off of that because it's like this affiliate program thing. So that's a way to help me out too, is just by using my link. And if you still don't want to, if you're still like, no, I don't want to give Alejandro money because he wears stupid t-shirts and he should dress better on his videos, that's cool too. I'm glad you were able to enjoy the video. I just love it when people can share. And by the way, if you do come to the Devil's Tower, one of the things that's a lot of fun is when people come up and say hi, and I can say hi to everybody. So one more second. Thank you so much to Bug. I wonder what your real name is. You're not really a bug, are you? Dragon Con is going on all weekend. Somebody, Tim F., just mentioned. Really good point. Dragon Con, I've never been there, but it's supposed to be the best of all of these sci-fi conferences. And we were looking at this schedule. There's stuff going on literally 24/7. They have parties in the middle of the night and events 24/7. I'm not a morning person, but I can't stay up that late. I get up fairly late, for a 40-something-year-old, a Gen Xer, but not really early for you all. And then I stay up, fairly late for a Gen Xer, definitely very late for a baby boomer. But still, what am I talking about? Like midnight or something like that, 1 o'clock? Because I'm not a morning person. I'm more of a night person. Of course, look, it's already late here, and we're doing this show. But, geez, I cannot stay up all night. That's crazy. I definitely will get an Open Minds t-shirt. Great. I have some really, really cool styles there. And look, you can see those right here down there, too. So just click on that, and you'll see them. Alejandro, have you ever heard the theory that extraterrestrials are from Jupiter, but the outside gaseous storms are a protective layer surrounding their civilization? Well, you know what? I've heard a lot of theories. I've heard that theory. People say the same thing about like Venus and some other places. So, yes, I've heard so many theories. I mean, there was, I think it's, dang it, I cannot remember who wrote the book, but he especially talked about aliens being from Venus. And what was interesting about this guy is this is kind of the era of George Adamski. And if you're not aware of him, like in the 60s. So in the movie Easy Rider, ooh, check this out. You can find this clip on YouTube. Just put Easy Rider UFOs, and you'll see this great clip where one of the actors, famous actor, he kind of talks like Jack Nicholson. He is like this high school football dude, and he goes and he's smoking pot with the biker guys, who of course are like Peter Fonda and the other, these famous actors. It's a famous movie, Easy Rider, and they're talking about UFOs, and he's like, "Yeah, man, the aliens are coming, and they're trying to make us better, and they're trying to, well, all of what he's talking about. There was a whole contactee period of time era where there were a lot of people who were saying that they were contacted and speaking with aliens, and they all had something similar to say, which was around like, the aliens are now trying to talk to us because we're doing nukes and we're destroying our planet, and we need to cut it out, we need to be better, or we're going to destroy our planet and we're all going to die. And so there are a lot of people talking about that. But yeah, they talked about people from Venus and Jupiter and everywhere. So let's see. Anything else? 12 Aggie Heavy says the Earth is hollow. I feel there's not evidence for that yet, but who knows? What do I know? It could be. I mean, there are certainly huge caverns and stuff down there. Somebody said they talked to 30 different species in their dream last night. Whoa, that's pretty crazy. I hope you had a good experience with that. The aerial one in South Africa is amazing. Oh, this is Bug again. Okay, I'm going to talk about Bug, who just said he's 36. Oh, wow, he stays up till almost 3 a.m. I used to do that. Now I'm getting to bed early, 12 or 1 o'clock. Well, I shouldn't say I don't. I rarely stay up till 3, sometimes 2. But yeah. George Van Tassel, that's not the guy, but somebody, Flynn Ryder, thank you very much, brought up George Van Tassel. George Van Tassel put on this conference at Big Rock, and he invited all of those contactees to come to talks there. And this is crazy. They would do this in the desert in California where it's crazy hot, and they would have thousands of people out in the desert. And he built this structure, and these people would get up on the structure and talk about, I saw the aliens, and they told me we got to cut it out with these nuclear bombs. And thousands of people would be there to listen. It's amazing. You can find pictures online. I think we have a bunch of pictures, too, that we had found online. Really cool stuff. So very interesting. He also built something called the Integratron, where he said aliens had told him how to build this technology of this building where you walk through the building and your cells get rejuvenated. He never finished it. He passed away before he finished the Integratron, but it's still out there, and some of you may have heard of it. It's in the Joshua Tree area, and people hold different things there because it's got this great acoustics and everything. But yeah, this guy, George Van Tassel, very interesting. Oh, Cookie Stringfellow. Hi, Cookie. She said she's booked her hotel already. She's always one of the first to do it. Like I said, we went to visit the hotel today. It's the Sheraton Grand in downtown Phoenix, and it is grand. I mean, it's like the biggest hotel in downtown Phoenix. It's across from the convention center. It's the hub of everywhere. And they're really excited to be hosting us. Very nice people. I'm super excited about it. Did I hear about tiny sea creatures found in space? I think what you're talking about, Tim F. said you may be talking about tardigrades. But tardigrades are these very strong little creatures that look like, they look very interesting. They look like, in fact, in Star Trek, the new one, Discovery, they used a tardigrade-looking creature when they were showing this big creature they had captured. If any of you saw Star Trek Discovery. If you haven't, go do it. It's awesome. My only problem with it is I bought this subscription to CBS All Access because that's the only way to watch it. And now I don't watch anything else. I just wanted to watch Star Trek, so I still got this subscription. But they're going to have a second season that looks really good. But anyway, the tardigrade is not, I think, what Michael Tibbs is talking about. What they did find were microbes. The Russians felt like they found microbes on the ISS. And they feel that perhaps these microbes were alive or maybe even on the ISS. But what people had argued is that probably these are things that this is contamination, that those things were on there from Earth and they actually came from Earth. They even suspect that, like plankton and stuff like that could hitch a ride when they're coming out of muggy, humid Florida, get on the rocket and then hitch a ride when they go up into space. So that's what they're thinking. But there are some people who argue that these microbes seem to be able to survive in space. That's still under debate. But of course, that's a really big deal if we have these little critters here on our planet that can survive in space. Then it makes it more likely this whole idea of transpermia, which is that life essentially hitches a ride on a asteroid or something and goes from planet to planet. So let's say really we haven't luckily had an event here on Earth yet. But let's say we take a rock out into space, or a rocket, that are rockets that go out into space, or our satellites that creatures are on there, some of our microorganisms, and that when those crash onto another planet, or if they were to land on another planet, then these microbes are then seeding life on other planets. And perhaps people think that, life hitched a ride on asteroids or meteorites when they landed here on the planet, and that's how we have life here. Because what's interesting is we don't know how life began. We talk about, it takes all this combination of amino acids, and it probably happened on the bottom of the ocean. We don't know. Those are guesses, but we don't know where life on Earth came from, whether that genesis of life was here on Earth or whether it was on another planet, perhaps even Mars, and it hitched a ride from an asteroid to Earth. So we don't know. It could be that, life is throughout even our solar system, and we just share all of this stuff. So who knows? Let's see. Is there anything else before I go? Yep, someone says cloud to ground. It would be very harsh for anything to live under that condition. But who knows? We don't know. Bugbear, Michael said, is another word for the tardigrade. That is true. And he says they can survive in space. And there have been experiments. And you may be right, because I don't remember if they had been able to prove that. But that's something I suspect, because they're tough little critters that they find everywhere. So with that, let's see. Hello, Dirk Bone Steel. He was angry for some reason. I don't see why. But anyway, that is it. Let's go ahead and end it there. Well, I want to thank you all so much for joining us for this 4th episode of UFOs Seriously Live. I think that this one went pretty well, right? There were a couple little issues on the first couple. The first two were really kind of basic, and then I stepped up my game to make it cooler and cooler, and now it's really cool. Hey, and in fact, somebody said they were going to subscribe to this channel. If you don't subscribe already, subscribe so we can see the cool little video that happens right here. Tim F. says, Alejandro, will you get to interview Elizondo on Open Minds? I'm not going to answer any more questions until someone subscribes. We can see a little video. All right. Let me answer your question real quick, because this is really cool. You channeled. You are a psychic person. I don't know. I've been in contact with Elizondo, and I reminded him, hey, it'd be fun if we got to do an interview together. And he said, yes, it's going to happen soon. I was like, yeah. I don't know how soon that's going to be, but we'll see. The orange shirt made the day. Yeah. Dragon Ball, baby. Dragon Ball Z. So I'm a big fan of Goku. He's really cool. But yes, hopefully that interview will be happening soon. Otherwise, all right. I guess that's it. Thank you all so much for joining me. Again, you can subscribe down here. You can see all of my links down there to everything that, to at least the pages that I talked about. The specifics, I'll put even more links down there once I post this for people to preview after the live stream, including I'll put the book to Carl Jung, where he wrote about UFOs. He's got a book on UFOs. I've got it. So he's got that book. I'll put a link to my story, too, on Carl Jung and UFOs. So that's really cool stuff. But I don't know. I'll look, try to remember what else. And also in the cards. So in the cards, you can hit this info button, and you'll be able to see some of the videos that we've talked about. I'll link them to the side here so you can look at those as well, including the Space Force video on my new channel, the Alejandro Advantage, something that you already have. You got the Alejandro Advantage, baby, because you're watching this show. So until next week, and we will be online next week, and then I guess we'll talk to you later. Adios, moo. Oh, wait. I got to do this. Sorry, guys. I got to do the end thing. Hey, thanks for watching. Those people who came early saw me editing this. And this is important because what I'm going to do is you'll see the videos pop up on the side here for what to watch.